But George Clooney, if he got cancer, his tumor would probably be the sexiest tumor ever. And that's how I live my life. That's why I want to smell my butthole. Hey, guess what, everybody? It's okay to tell your kids to sit down. Welcome to the Jubal Show. I'm your host, Jubal Fresh, and I understand that I look like that one guy with the bug eyes. I get it. Okay, so please refrain from tweeting me or tagging me in any Facebook status or tagging me on Instagram pictures of some dude with buggy eyes doing something funny, because every single time there's a meme or a video of somebody with some kind of buggy eyes, I get people tagging me in it like, this kind of looks like Jubal. Yeah, got it. I have very meerkatish good looks, all right? I know that my eyes are a little bit buggy, but don't need to hear about it every single time there's a video or picture online of somebody with buggy eyes. Don't need to hear about it. Got it. Noted. Wrote it down. Put it in my pocket. I take it out every once in a while just to remind myself, hey, you got buggy eyes. And why am I going off about this right now? Because just got a tweet a few minutes ago before I started doing the podcast from someone else who thought they were being hilarious by pointing out that somebody with some buggy eyes looked kind of like me. Not at all like me. Not at all like me, except buggy eyes. So I got it. I've written it down. I will remind myself of that every 5 minutes so I won't forget that, hey, got buggy eyes. Thank you. No more, please. I don't get offended by it. It's just like, after you've heard the same joke about 1 billion times, it starts to like lose its hilarity. Never was hilarious the first time. Wasn't even funny the first time. Except for when people said I look like Joe Latrulio from that show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That is very true. I see that dude and I'm like, damn, I should have had that role. Not that I'm a better actor or anything else, just look like him. So hey, if he ever gets like a motion picture or does anything else and he needs like somebody to stand in for him, hey, Joe Latrulio. If you don't know who that is, Google it. There's a G in the middle. Latruglio, I think is what it looks like. Google it. But hey, Joe Latrulio, if you ever need a body double, I got you. The buggy eyes. We both have them. I actually saw that dude after a Rams game in LA at a bar. And I almost did to him what people do to me. Because I saw him in the bar and I was a little bit drunk. And I was like, I'm going to go up to him and I'm going to be like, hey man, people say we look alike, all right? Thank God I didn't do that. Thank God that I had a moment of clarity in my drunkenness and I said no, because if somebody came up to you and was like, we're like the same person, I'd be like, get out of my face. Turn around and leave right now. Because yes, we kind of do look alike. Also, you're not that attractive, so you just called me not that attractive. You're a dick. Leave now. That's kind of how I would feel. So I didn't do that. So I look kind of like him. And then also Wee Man. I get it, okay? Especially when I had the shaved head. Everybody was like, oh, is it you or Wee Man? Oh, and guess what? I did actually say that to Wee Man once. Because I was doing an interview with Wee Man when the movie Jackass, when one of the movies Jackass came out, I was interviewing him. And I did it. I was a dick. I was the person who I'm currently talking to that tweets me like, hey, there's this dude that looks kind of like a raccoon, looks like you. I was that guy that day, and that's when I learned not to do it, because I was doing an interview, and I said, hey, a lot of people say that we look alike. And he just looked at me and was like, no, I don't see it. And in that moment, I knew that looking like me to him was an insult. Interview ended very quickly. I felt like a jackass. So anyway, got buggy eyes. And if you didn't know what the clips were at the very, very beginning of the podcast, listen to the last episode, because that's where they came from, if they made absolutely no sense to you. If they made sense to you, thank you for listening to the episode. Remember, the Jubal Show podcast comes out every Wednesday. I do another podcast with my hot ass wife, Alex Fresh, and that's called Fresh Till Death. That comes out every single Monday. And then I do daily podcasts on my Patreon, patreon.com/JubalFresh. Also, make sure to check me out this weekend at Kent, Washington, the ShowWare Center. I'll be there with Hannibal Burris, Jeff Dye, Jessica Peluso. I'll be telling some jokes. Also, Alex and I will be doing the Fresh Till Death podcast live there. And what was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's okay. It's okay to tell your kids to sit down and shut it. Nicely, sternly, but it's okay. And why am I saying that? Because, I get a lot of flack from people who say, wow, you hate kids. Used to hate kids. I don't hate kids anymore. Done a lot of work on myself, realized why I didn't like kids. Now, I like some of them. But I used to not like kids because if you listen to the last podcast, or if you listen to anything that I've talked about, or you follow me online, you know, didn't have the best childhood. So kids, my instant reaction was always like, ugh, they scared me. They scared me because they didn't feel safe. They didn't feel like legit because, like, for me, I was never a happy kid, right? So whenever I would see a kid just smiling and being happy, I'm like, that's bullshit. What are you hiding? Who's hurting you? Wall comes up, scared. How do I react? Not normally. I say, yuck, kids are dumb and stupid and should not be allowed in this world. Why? Because it just created something in me that made me feel like kids are all bad. But then did some personal work. Also, married my hot ass wife, Alex Fresh. She has 2 kids. I'm a stepdad now. Like those kids. Love those kids. Like them. A lot better than yours. A lot better than yours. And you might have cool kids, but those are my favorite kids. Anyway, the reason that I'm saying that it's okay to tell your kids to sit down is because it's gotten ridiculous lately in public. There's been a few instances that have just been mind-blowing to me. One was at a Red Robin a little while ago. I eat a lot of Red Robin now. Oh yeah, 'cause 2 stepkids. That's why. 'Cause Red Robin has the screen at the table, and they also have great burgers and everything else, but they have the screen at the table where you can just go, here, just focus on that for a minute until the mac and cheese gets here. And then eat your mac and cheese, stop looking at the screen. If you want the screen, then you got to eat the mac and cheese. If you don't eat the mac and cheese, going to take away the screen soon. They're eating the mac and cheese now. So anyway, a lot of Red Robin, a lot of indigestion, a lot of gained weight right now. My belly is really puffing up. Also think I'm a little bit lactose intolerant. Eating a lot of cheeseburgers. Not doing very well for the metabolism. Pants are getting tighter. I want to buy every single pair of pants now with elastic. I'm tired of buttoning pants. And I'm tired of buttoning pants and having to suck in my gut because too many clucks and fries. And I have to suck in my gut. And then, because I'm gaining weight, the pants with the button don't fit appropriately. So I'm walking around with plumber's crack 24/7 unless I got my elastic joggers on. I need to start buying pregnancy pants. That's what I need to start buying. Because those have like they go all the way up to the chest pretty much. There's like I've seen them. There's like a thing that goes all the way up to the chest. And that's what I need because I cannot keep a pair of pants on the top of my butt crack right now. I cannot keep them at my waistline no matter what I do. I'm sitting here right now doing the podcast and I can feel the breeze caressing my butt crack. It's going right over it, dipping down into the valley, kind of refreshing, and then it's making its way out of the valley because my butt crack, the top of it, is always showing. Butt cleavage on my back at all times now, unless I'm wearing my joggers, but I can't wear those every day because they get dirty, and also people would notice that I'm wearing nothing but the same pair of pants every single day. Buy some more elastic pants. Buy some pregnancy pants. That's what I need to do. Took a note for myself again. Gonna read that later. Probably not gonna do it. But if you want to send me some pregnancy pants, I will happily wear them. Anyway, so I'm at Red Robin, right? And then there's this kid behind me, this 2-year-old kid. How do I know it's 2? Because I found out. So this kid right behind me, screaming in my ear the whole time, screaming right directly into my ear the whole time. Okay, first time it happens, wow, that was loud. Probably gonna sue you because I think you just exploded my eardrum. But I'm patient. So I'm like, all right, well, that can't happen again. Nobody is going to allow their kid to scream in another patron's ear that loudly. Nobody's gonna do it, right? Boom, happens again. Pretty sure I'm deaf now. And I'm not even over exaggerating. The kid just yelled right in my ear. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to snap now. Because they have a screen. Red Robin has a screen, okay? That 2-year-old should have been glued to that screen, like good parenting nowadays. Just put them on a screen, they shut up. She would have stopped yelling if you would have put her right in front of that screen and said, hey, wait for your mac and cheese, and did that whole dance. But no, she's standing up right there. And I'm like, all right, breathe. In through the nose, into the belly, out through the mouth. Relax. It's good for anxiety, by the way. Try it. In through the nose, deep down into your belly, not up here, out through the mouth. Relax. Screamed again, and I turn around, and I wasn't even being a jerk, but I turn around and I said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you just ask your daughter, I probably shouldn't have said daughter because I have no idea what gender she identifies with yet. Shouldn't have said that. Sorry for being insensitive. But I said, hey, can you tell your daughter to not scream in my ear? Because it's like she's right behind me, right in my ear. And then the mom goes, she's 2. And that's when I started to come unhinged a little bit. She goes, she's 2. And then I said, oh, great. That means she can understand you when you say, hey, inside voice, sit down, stop yelling in people's ears. That's awesome. And she goes, she's 2. I can't tell her to be quiet. And I said, oh, okay, great. Well, then would you mind moving? And then she gets mad. And she goes, yeah, and then storms off to go get a host to move tables. Then the dad is sitting on the other side. Again, sorry to assume dad. I don't know what he is. But anyway, he's sitting on the other side of the booth. And this dude is so checked out, right? Because he's got a wife who won't control the 2-year-old who's probably screaming at the top of her lungs all the time. So his hearing is already bad from being just his ears being yelled in nonstop. And he's just like, his eyes are blank and he's just sitting there looking straight ahead. And then he goes, what happened? And I said, your daughter is yelling at the top of her lungs in my ear. So I asked if she could be quiet. And then your wife said that you're going to move tables. And then he said, you can't tell her to be quiet. She's a person. I was like, but she's also your daughter. and she's being incredibly rude. She's being incredibly rude and shouting in public. If I were to shout at the top of my lungs in a restaurant, people would not be happy with me. Called manners, and I think it's okay to teach your kid manners. And then he goes, well, you can't control another person. I said, yeah, you can. You can when you own them. And you own that daughter until she's old enough to own herself at 18. So you can kind of tell her what to do, especially at 2 when they don't know how to act right. Understandably, they're 2, they're trying to figure it out. And that's the perfect time to say, hey, normal, civilized human beings don't shout in other people's ears in the middle of Red Robin. We don't do that. That's not controlling another person. It's teaching your 2-year-old how to behave like a respectful member of society instead of a schizophrenic person who's about to take a dump on a table at Red Robin. So anyway, as I was saying to the guy, basically that, and I was just like, yeah, but you can still tell her to be quiet, you know? It's called manners. Like, if I were to shout in here, you probably wouldn't like it. And, you know, she's old enough to understand inside voice. And then when she uses the outside voice, every single time you remind her, you put her in check a little bit. You say, hey, inside voice, knock it off. You don't have to be mean about it, but they'll get it eventually. And look, I've never been a parent of a 2-year-old. So I asked my wife, I said, am I being a dick? Am I being a dick because do I not understand how 2-year-olds work? And she said, no. At 2, you can teach them to use the inside voice. Because I also said to that guy, I was like, hey, I got 2 kids sitting across from me here. One's on the screen. That should be on the screen. You should put her on the screen. But I got 2 sitting across from me here. They're not shouting. They're sitting here perfectly mild-mannered, waiting for their food. And the guy just wasn't having it. You can't control another person. Yeah, you can. So anyway, his wife moves to another table, and then he continues to sit there by himself. Because I'm sure that he was like, I'm not going to let this guy intimidate me and make me move. I didn't care. The problem was gone. The 2-year-old was the problem, not him and his inability to parent his child because can't control another person. Oh, also, yeah, probably shouldn't have said this, but I did say, so what are you going to do when she grows up and starts smoking crack? You going to just let that slide because you can't control her? Or would you say, hey, stop smoking crack? Didn't have an answer to that because it's a very good point. If you can't tell her not to scream in a restaurant, then you probably don't have the ability to say, hey, also, don't stab people. She's a person. If she wants to stab somebody and smoke crack when she gets older, then she should be able to do that. If she identifies as a crack-smoking murderer, that's what she is, and I love her just the same. No, if I had a kid who was a crack-smoking murderer, don't talk to me. I don't want to know any crack-smoking murderers, even if I'm related to them. No interest in hanging out with crack-smoking murderers. Just kind of my style. So anyway, the problem is gone, and then he finally goes over there. So that was one instance where a parent was just like letting their kid do whatever. All right? And then I was on a plane. This is actually before the Red Robin thing, but I was on a plane, and there were these 2 kids running up and down the aisles, like in the plane, disturbing everybody. They're running around. They hit my elbow. By the way, unsafe. They almost knocked over a flight attendant. They knocked over some dude's drink. And where are the parents? The parents are just chilling in their seats while these kids are running up and down the aisles. and then knocking my arm, and I'm trying to work and probably play games. I'm probably playing video games on my phone or whatever. Okay, I try to say work because I always like I work on planes, but sometimes I do. Other times I start to work and then I'm like, I'm just gonna play a video game on my phone. So whatever I'm doing, they keep hitting my arm because I sit on the aisle in planes because got a small bladder, gotta pee a whole bunch. Don't want to constantly wake people up to get out to go pee because I feel really guilty about waking them up. Probably shouldn't feel so guilty. It's a plane and sometimes people do that. But it hurts me and I feel really bad waking them up. So I sit on the aisle because I want to respect their sleep. And I also want to respect myself and not feel bad about myself the whole time for waking somebody up while they're slumbering. So anyway, knock my arm. And then I finally had enough, okay? By the way, they were, like I said, they're almost running over flight attendants. So I said, hey, come here. So the kid walks up to me and I said, sit down. Go sit down. You've knocked my arm off my armrest like 5 times now. You spilled that guy's drink. You guys are being a distraction. People are trying to enjoy the flight. Sit down. The kid looks at me, turns around. His brother or whatever walks with him. They sit down. And then the parents turn around and just laser eyes just look at me like I am the worst person on the planet. The whole plane. By the way, one guy thanked me. One guy was like, hey, dude, thanks for doing that. And I was like, yeah, man. Boom. Dap. Got some dap. Why? Because I was the only one who said, hey, kids, sit the fuck down. Because it's rude what you're doing right now. So the parents are pissed at me. And then all the other people around me are silently thanking me because I'm a monster now. I'm the worst person on the planet. But everybody around me is like, hey, what you did? Man, you're a superhero. But I'm not going to say it too loudly because I don't want everybody to think I'm a dick like you. And then the flight attendant looks at me like I'm a maniac and says, what's the problem? And I was like, well, they were running around and then they hit my arm and then they almost knocked you over and I just asked them to sit down. And she was like, they weren't hurting anybody. And the whole I'm like, what? They were running wild in a plane. People get tackled for that. If you're on, was it Delta or United, you get punched in the face and drug off if you're an adult. They're killing puppies on planes. They're putting them in the compartment underneath and puppies are dying and they don't care. I'm protecting these kids' life at this point because I'm worried somebody's going to open up a door and chuck them out. But she looked at me just like, how could you possibly do that? They were fine. They're kids. Can't control another person. She didn't serve me a drink the rest of the flight. Because I asked her for one. She said, and then walked away, never came back. I got the hint. I'm not getting a drink because I told those 2 a-hole kids to sit down. And then my hot-ass wife, Alex Fresh, was at dinner with her friend the other night, and there was like 5 kids running around the restaurant, knocking over waiters. And the parents were doing absolutely nothing. And then finally the friend that she was with, thank God I wasn't there because I probably would have gone crazy at this point. The friend that she was with had to do what I did on that plane and say, hey, you guys are being a nuisance. You're in our lap right now, basically, at a restaurant. Act like a human. Sit down. And the kids finally sat down. Why aren't people telling their kids to behave in public? I think that's okay. I really honestly do. Just for your information, I don't believe in hitting children. I don't. When I was younger, I was like one of those guys that was like, hey, it's okay to spank kids. I got spanked and look how I turned out. Holy shit, think about that for a second. Look how I turned out. Look how I turned out. Got hit a lot growing up. Yeah, definitely don't recommend it, because look how I turned out. Took me a while to realize that, but no, I don't think you should spank your kids, because that teaches them an unhealthy way of expressing anger and everything else. But I do think that it's great to discipline them by going, hey, sit down, act appropriately in public, and here's why. Here's why. Because if I was screaming in your ear right now or knocking your apple juice off the table, you'd be pretty upset, wouldn't you? And then they'd go, yeah. And then I would say, so don't be a dick and sit down and act like an adult. Even though you're a kid, act like an adult, because we're in public. So yeah, kids are out of control. And what else is going on? March Madness. Hey, it's March Madness time. Guess what? Don't care. Don't give a shit that it's March Madness time. Why is that? Because I used to work in sports radio. Oh, by the way, real quick, back to the kids thing. Okay, so, because I brought up radio, I do the radio show, and oftentimes people hear me get upset when people put kids on the phone. And yeah, bugs me. And you know why? Kids, they are a lot smarter than you think they are. But the one thing that they haven't really figured out yet is how to talk into a phone. And it bugs me, and I take a lot of heat for it, because people are like, you're a jerk and you don't like kids. And I'm like, no, I like the two that I know, and yours are probably cool. I have to be around them a little bit before I automatically give them a pass, because there are some kids that are just a-holes, including the two that I know. They can be a-holes sometimes, big ones. So no, I don't like just hate them all. But I also don't find it cute when I'm trying to have a conversation on the radio show with an adult, and then they're not even listening to a word I say, first of all. That's what bugs me, is I'm like, hey, so what's your name? Where are you from? And they're just like, hey, I'm here in the car with my kids. I'm like, didn't ask because don't care. Talking to you right now. Didn't ask who's in the car with you. So they just offer that information up because they want you to do the normal radio thing. I'm not a normal radio person, I get it. But they want you to do the normal radio thing. We're like, oh my God, that's just the cutest thing ever. That is just, oh my God, I have just creamed myself. My pants are all like soaking wet right now because I heard that there is an innocent little child in the back of your car. And that is just the cutest thing ever. Put him on the phone. Hey, little Johnny, how old are you? I'm 2. Hey, do you know how to shut up in restaurants? Do you? Because that's what I'm going to talk to you about right now. That's what I would do. Hey, put him on the phone. How old are you? I'm 2. Hey, do me a favor. Shut your mouth in restaurants and don't scream in people's ears. Because maybe your parent hasn't told you that because they don't want to control a person. So now I'm telling you that. They wouldn't understand that though, because 2. But yeah, they always do that. They're just like, I've got my kids in the car. Can you give them a shout out? No. Because I want to get to know you, the adult, the one that can actually have a back and forth with me. An interesting one. Because kids on the phone, they can't pay attention. They don't really know how to talk into a phone. They're just going to zone out at some point. They don't get it. So they throw them on the phone, and then all of a sudden it's like, Nah. They don't even say words. It's just like, I've got my son on the phone. You're like, hey, real quick, don't put him on the phone. They just come on, they're like, and you're like, all right, I guess now I have to try to talk to this kid. And you go, hey, what's your name? All right, that's a weird name. That sounds more like a guttural sound. Doesn't sound like a name. And then they might go, Billy. And you're like, all right, Billy, how old are you? What, Mom? Didn't ask what, Mom. Asked how old you were. And then you try to have a conversation with them, and that's all you get. And then you hear some shuffling around, just shuffling around. And then the phone's back to the parent, and they're just like, wasn't that the cutest thing ever? No, wasn't. It wasn't. It was cute for you because it's your kid. It's the one that you like the best, not the one I like the best. So that's why it bugs me. But I don't hate kids. I think kids are dope, actually. Actually, like hanging out, being around kids now, being a stepfather is awesome. I love it. And actually, I'm pretty good at it. You know why? Because know how to discipline without the hitting. Know how to talk to them and listen to them. Not on the phone, though. Can't have a conversation with the 6-year-old on the phone because he's 6. Doesn't really get phones that well yet. But I know how to say, hey, don't scream in public. Let's talk about why. Hopefully you understand it. I'm going to remind you every single time you don't get it, though. But yeah, anyway, I do like kids. So I was talking about March Madness. Then I got off on that tangent because I used to work in sports radio and I used to pay a lot of attention to sports in general. Like I used to really pay a lot of attention to sports. But in the last 8 years, I know nothing about sports. Oh, and by the way, if you talk sports with me, I'm going to pretend like I know something. So don't worry about that. So anytime you see me out, go ahead, talk some sports. I'm going to nod along and be like, yeah, saw that last night. That was crazy. Huh? Yeah. Detlef Shrimp still in the league? Is he doing well? Yeah. No, he's not? Magic still with the AIDS? Or is he playing? I liked him. One of my favorite players of all time. Cried when he got AIDS, actually. I did. That's a true story. Lakers fan. Grew up in LA. Loved him. When he said he had AIDS, lost my shit. Cried. That's how much into sports I was then. Now, no idea. I know LeBron plays for the Lakers, and they suck. And they're doing terrible. I pay a little bit of attention to that. But other than that, I don't pay attention to anything. So March Madness is here this week. And guess what? Don't give a shit. I don't care one bit. And most people don't know anything about college basketball. Most people don't. There are a lot of people that pay a lot of attention, but everybody in your office is going to be an expert all of a sudden on everything. Every single person is now going to just know every single thing about the sport. They're just going to watch ESPN, and then they're going to break down Butler. So I think Butler's probably good now, but I remember when Butler wasn't good, and they just made it into the tournament. That's how long ago I paid attention, and then now I think people know about Butler. But like some weird Ohio of Akron University College Township University. And then they're just going to be breaking it down like, isn't that coach amazing? He's like the youngest coach ever. Yeah, he is the youngest coach ever because he's at a university that barely has a basketball team. Because he's coach and player. Because the university has like $5 to their athletic department and somehow they went on a good run. So he's 18 years old and he's very excitable. And you like his positive attitude, but they're going to get knocked out in the play-in game. And you're going to see him cry, and you're going to feel bad, and you're going to wish that he had done better. But guess what? He's not. But he might get a good coaching job after that one. Or he'll be one of those people that stays there for 75,000 years, and then everybody's like, wow, he's the oldest college basketball coach ever. Isn't he amazing? He just stayed at a job for a long time. He liked his job. He maybe coached some basketball players and they went to the pros. Maybe he won some championships. He just stayed at a job for a long time. That's the thing that bugs me about sports and coaches, especially when people talk about like how long they've been a coach and how old they are and how much wisdom they have. they've just been at a job for a long, long time, sometimes way too long. If it wasn't a sport, if they weren't a coach, if it was an office job, if it was like a marketing office job, and there was some 84-year-old dude that was just making spreadsheets for 60 years. Maybe he was great at making spreadsheets though, and he always had some sort of like catchy phrase that he made every time he just crushed a spreadsheet. You'd be like, that's sad. That's a sad existence. He should be retired by now. But this guy has been doing spreadsheets for 78 years, talking about how you can do the best spreadsheet ever if you just apply yourself. And then he's also reminiscing about the 1982 spreadsheet season where he had the best run of making marketing spreadsheets ever. He's still living in the past. It's the same thing. It's just athletics, so we go, wow, they're an amazing individual. They just work a job for a long time, and you know what? A very demanding one. Some make a lot of money. That's great. But a lot of them don't even spend time with their families because they're sleeping at the stadium so they can get up early and crush game tape so they can just be a coach for another 45 years. Hey, stop smelling jock straps. Go spend time with the fam a little bit. Not impressed by your work ethic. Not impressed by ignoring your family. That's the other thing, too, that bugs me about athletics in general is you hear about these coaches, NFL coaches. It's super demanding. I get it. I do get it. But then people praise them for just sleeping in, they used to talk about John Gruden now. He's sleep in his office during the season. Like he would be there late working on stuff, then he would sleep on the couch and wake up, work on stuff. I'm like, when does the dude ever go home? So he doesn't see his family for 8 months? Wow. That's something to respect. No, it's not. I respect a dude that can still win and then also go, hey, I'm done at this time because got some more important things than just grown men playing a game to worry about. Want to live life, actual life a little bit too. It's good you're passionate, but also be passionate about hanging out with people. In other words, or not in other words, but why have a family if you're just going to be sleeping in a sweaty football stadium all the time? Not impressed by that. But the college basketball thing is hilarious to me, though, because, seriously, everybody just sees something on ESPN, and then they come into work the next day, and that's all people talk about, but nobody knows what they're talking about, and they break everything down like they've been, a CBS sports analyst forever. Just heard some shit. You just heard some shit and regurgitating it. That's all you're doing. It went in your ear, and now you're puking it out, trying to sound like you know what you're talking about. And the person who knows nothing about March Madness is going to win the bracket. That always happens. Pretty standard joke, because it's true. But I don't really get into sports anymore because it's like, okay, sorry, bros and sports dudes who might be checking out the podcast. If you are, thank you. Thank you. Rate, review. Rate and review. Rate and review. So, bros, sports fanatics, who I'm about to talk shit about, rate, review before I talk shit. Rate, review, positive review. By the way, whoever put just positive review in the podcast, on the reviews on iTunes, please, everybody just do that. That was hilarious to me. Because I checked them to see how many reviews there were and if they were positive, because the feedback, appreciate the feedback. Feedback me whenever you want. And someone just posted positive review. So please, after this one drops, I would love it if somebody would just throw another positive review there. Just positive review. Don't say much more, just positive review. Cracks me up, makes me laugh. Thank you very much. So the thing about sports, though, that I just kind of made me stop paying attention to it is it's basically the Kardashians for dudes. That's all sports is now. You watch the games and stuff, yeah. But it's all the storylines, and I guess it always has been all the storylines. And guys feel like they're men, like we are men, because we're talking about sports. Did you see A-Rod and J-Lo got engaged? Holy shit, that's gossip. That is gossip. Sports is just gossip for dudes, and I don't pay attention to gossip for chicks. I don't pay attention to like the Us Weeklies. That's also why I don't pay attention to the ESPNs. I don't care who's feuding with who. I don't care who might be going to another team because not enough money. It's all just gossip. And then also, it's the same too, because I guarantee you, a lot of bros going to be checking out March Madness, and they're going to be like, dude, I don't know about like Gonzaga's like jersey selection for the last game. Was like, I saw it and I was like, I don't know about that color, bro. Like I kind of liked it at first, but then I was like, oh, dude, that color is totally whack. You're talking about an outfit. You're breaking down another dude's outfit. That's all you're doing. It's the same as someone being like, oh my God, did you see the way Khloe Kardashian was dressed on the last episode of the Kardashians? I thought the shoes were cool at first, but then I looked at them some more and I was like, those are a little small for her feet. Her toes are sticking out of it. Where'd she get those shoes? That's ridiculous. It's the same as being like, dude, did you see the sick ass shoes that Michigan was wearing? Those are so dope. Doesn't make it not talking about somebody's outfit and critiquing their fashion just because it's sports. Sports is just gossip for dudes. And that is why I don't pay much attention to it anymore. Because I'm not interested in the gossip. Want to go live my life. Want to go to Red Robin. Put a screen in front of a kid's face and say, wait, you pay attention to that until your mac and cheese comes. I'll put my arm around my hot ass wife and talk about whatever, then eat a burger, then get indigestion, then not sleep well, then wake up and search for Alka-Seltzer anywhere in the house because my tummy hurts, then go to work, then come back home and do it all over again and not worry about what goes on in the sporting world. It's great. Try it out. Try it out. By the way, going to fill out a bracket and probably going to beat you because I don't know shit. Thank you for checking out the podcast this week. Remember, the Jubal Show podcast drops every single Wednesday. Fresh Till Death podcast drops on Monday. Exclusive content over on my Patreon, patreon.com/JubalFresh. You can get all my show dates at uglytickets.com or lastnamefresh.com. Uglytickets.com is where you get the tickets. This Saturday, March 23rd, I'll be at the Showwear Center in Kent with Hannibal Burris, Jeff Dye, Jessime Peluso, and me and my hot-ass wife, Alex Friash. We'll be doing our podcast from there too. Other than that, have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday on the Jubal Show. I'm the one with the buggy eyes.